Multiple times now, I've talked about the consequences of excessive video game and digital media consumption, and I've discussed how to moderate your time and whatnot. But something I haven't discussed yet is how digital media affects those with disorders such as ADHD or anxiety, and if playing video games is correlated with symptoms of such disorders. It would certainly be interesting to find out if there were some strong connections. So, when we look at ADHD specifically, it is mostly genetic in etiology and is not caught from playing video games. So, fear not, playing video games isn't going to give you an attention disorder, but it may actually exacerbate the symptoms if you do already have it. And that's where I started my investigation into this topic. The first thing I found is that there's a two-way street between ADHD and video games. The more severe the ADHD of a child is, the more likely they are to develop addiction to digital media later in life. It goes the other way too. The more video games someone with ADHD plays, the more severe their symptoms may become. Of course, these are correlational and small effects, but the authors of this study that found this argue that this is actually significant because this effect is mostly caused by digital media, which is something that we use all the time. And other studies echo this. They find that having ADHD is a major risk factor for developing internet or video game addictions. More specifically, it is the adolescents with ADHD that also lack strong social skills that are most at risk for developing digital media addictions. As a result, it is likely helpful for those with ADHD to be extra mindful about how video games are impacting them and their activities of daily living. Now, what other disorders are possibly associated with video games? And are video games causing these disorders? Or are these disorders leading people to play video games? Or is there some sort of different type of connection going on? Now, the most obvious disorder associated with gaming is, of course, internet gaming disorder. And yes, this is a real disorder that is classified by the DSM 5. And it's described as a pattern of excessive gaming behavior that takes precedent over other activities of daily living. But another class of disorders that is connected to video games is anxiety disorders, which may or may not surprise you. Anxiety disorders are not connected to video games in that people are anxious while playing video games. In fact, it's usually the opposite. Video games are a way to escape anxiety and anxious feelings. I can attest to that, as during COVID, I developed a lot of anxious feelings, and they would come up in situations that never happened before. During swim competitions, when approaching people to talk to them, and even just trying new things. Video games with my friends were the one thing that never brought me anxiety, and they were a safe landing point for me after a stressful day. And I can fully understand the comfort that video games bring to people. That being said, I'm clearly not the only one who does this. There's nothing wrong with video games bringing comfort and taking away anxious feelings. That's a great thing. Just make sure it's not making you avoid the things you still need to do. It's still important to step outside of your comfort zone and try new things. I stepped outside of my comfort zone while also using video games as a safe retreat. And ultimately, that safe retreat led me to eliminate those anxious feelings I had in the past because I was also at the same time practicing stepping outside of my comfort zone. So it's not to say that video games cause anxiety or even that anxiety causes video game playing. All we can really say is that there is a correlation between, and it is something to consider, especially given my own personal experience with it. But something that I have not had an experience with personally is depression and how video games play a role in that. For many people, it seems that video games are a pseudo medication for depression and can allow people to escape negative feelings. Once again, it's overwhelmingly found that video games are correlated with disorders in a way that video games are sort of the therapy for those disorders. And in a way, neither really causes the other. Video games are sort of just connected to them. So it's important to remember that as well. It's not the sole driving factor of any of these things. As many of you probably know, not everyone's experience with gaming is super positive also. It's not always that therapeutic good that you want. Many people report negative experiences with games, especially those highly competitive FPS games with online chats where people can say whatever they want. It's always those games that if there's problems, it's going to be with those. It's important to choose the right games for yourself where gaming can give you the most benefit and enjoyment possible, while also minimizing the risks. So, some games that I should suggest that you would do this with, and I've mentioned these on my TikTok page, is games that you can keep playing forever, and they'll bring you some good vibes. Are Bloons Tower Defense, Slime Rancher, Risk of Rain 2, Minecraft, and Terraria. And don't just take my word on these games. Check out the Steam reviews, and these games will have overwhelmingly positive reviews. Minecraft's not on Steam, but I'd imagine most people can see how a survival and creative mode world could be relaxing experiences that actually negate negative feelings that you're experiencing. And lastly, but not too surprisingly, video games are sometimes connected to sleeping disorders. Bright lights and intense games right before bed are not exactly the optimal conditions for tucking yourself in. And from my own experience, digital media, especially video games and TikToks or Reels, are not good right before bed. I used to play Clash Royale right before bed, and the intensity of the games would literally wake me right back up, and they would leave me far from falling asleep anytime soon. So, from my experience, I would suggest try to avoid them if it feels like you're taking longer to fall asleep because of these things. In general, also, it's advised to not use screens too much before bed. You'll probably sleep better if you do, so why not try it out? So, in conclusion, video games play a dynamic role with certain disorders, and it mostly does not directly cause disorders, nor do the disorders directly cause excessive video game playing. But video games do have the power to alter symptoms of existing disorders, so be mindful about how it's doing that. And as always, make sure you're thinking about how digital media is affecting you. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Baby,